So, good morning po. I would like to introduce myself. I'm Janina from the Lyceum of the Philippines University, Manila. And apparently, I'm a psychology student po. We would like to start the interview. First is, tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm a professor. I'm in the practice of psychology for more than 17 years or 16 years to be exact. And I'm an educator for a long period of time.
Why did you choose this path career path?
Well, I always wanted to interact with people. I do believe that interaction is priceless. Even before, when I was at college, I enjoy talking to people, discussing them, the things that I have in mind, and how it will affect other people, how it will help other people.
What does a clinical psychologist do?
Well, basically, if you're a clinical psychologist, you do diagnosis and treatment for those who are suffering from emotional and adjustment problems. Likewise, nowadays, psychologists or clinical psychologists are also recommended by the regional trial court in the cases of annulment, child custody, violence against women and children, or anything that requires the expertise of a psychologist.
Okay po. How does a clinical psychologist differ to other field of psychology?
But in the field of clinical psychology, like what I've said, we do diagnosis and treatment. And also, it is a branch of psychology that really deals with the healing, therapy for those who are suffering from emotional and adjustment problems. Unlike the other fields of psychology, that they don't aim for healing. But in clinical psychology, at the end of the day, you need to come up with your therapy. You need to come up with the psychotherapy that you're going to use so that the person will get well.
In your field, sir, what are the different challenges you have been faced?
I've been in different challenges in this field, like receiving a death threat, being harassed by some people if you will not conform from what they want me to do. I even received several death threats coming from the opponent when it comes to the legal cases. But then again, I do believe the common saying, the more you say it, the more you will not do it. And I'm not even shaken of those threats. As I said, God is with me. And if it is time for me to go, then I'll go. But I'm not even shaken of the threat.
What are the different assessment tools do you usually use?
Well, most of the time I use projective tests. I use Rorschach and Bender Gestalt. I use thematic and also some psychometric tests in measuring intelligence level, aptitude, and as well as personality. But in the field of clinical psych, we depend more on the projective tests.
What about the therapist po?
Well, I do practice CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, REBT, the rational emotive behavioral therapy, and others. But I am focused more on the cognitive level, cognitive behavioral therapy. And under cognitive behavioral therapy, there are many techniques of doing healing, or I'm doing psychotherapy.
And what about naman po, sir, sa mga different cases na na-handle niyo po?
What do you mean cases?
Yung mga clinical cases po.
Well, I've handled annulment, child custody, that's some cases of clinical like suicidal. There are and some of my clients are obsessive compulsive, depression, anxieties, and there are different, and there are many cases that I've handled.
In that cases po, what is the most difficult one po na na-handle mo?
Acquittal of someone from a crime because of insanity. Because I know for a fact that person, based on my evaluation and my evaluation and analysis, as well as validation, is not insane. But he killed someone, and as escape for the crime, he want me to testify in the court and explain it to the honorable judge that he is insane. But he's not. So what I did, I said that you're not insane. You better go to your lawyer and ask for a better escape, ask for a better technique, but not the insanity defense, because you are not insane.
Ayun po daw. Is there an instance when your client lack money but still you do treatment
Oh,
for them?
yes. I have my, I'm not after with money. Part and parcel of being a professional and part and parcel of your oath in the professional regulatory commission is you will give your service and rental to the people, for the people. Money is the secondary. I'm not after with money.
Do you volunteer whenever PAP needs psychologists whenever there are local disasters?
Even we did psychotrauma in Typhoon Yolanda. We went to Tacloban to help the people. But when we go there, everything is a little bit established. Because in that case, let's say typhoon, like what happened with the Typhoon Yolanda, the first thing that we need to do is that psychological intervention. You give them first the food, the shelter, the water, the basic needs first. And after you give them the basic needs, then there you are, give them your therapy.
Saying that, sir, so you are practicing psychological first aid po.
Psychological first aid.
Have you ever had a mistake while you are practicing your clinical cases po?
You know, Janina, in this profession, everything depends to your professional experience. Everything depends to your learning in psychology when you were in college and as well as in the graduate school. But then again, because I'm a practitioner also in the court, I make it a point that before I submit my evaluation, before I submit my analysis, I'll make it sure that I've read it 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And whatever that I have written in that report is something that I can study. So that's why even to my students, even to the seminars that they invited me as a guest speaker, I always inform the participants, if you want to practice clinical psychology or if you want to be a practitioner in psychology, you must be certain of what you are saying. You must be sure of what you are talking about. So in your question, if I ever made a mistake in my practice, I don't think so. Because like what I've said, I make it a point that I'm certain of what I'm doing.
Nalandaan ko nga po nung seminar na nabanggit ko na hindi specific po.
Yeah, of course, stop using seems to be.
Yes po. Remove ko. So, yun po. Do you believe that speaking English should be prerequisite for being psychometrician or psychologist? Why or why not?
Being a,
Psychologist or psychometrician?
what's your question?
Do you believe that speaking English should be requisite?
Speaking English?
Yes po.
Well, of course, in this profession, because our textbooks are written in English, the concept that we are applying in the Philippines is a Western concept of psychology. I believe that you must be good in English. But then again, it doesn't make you a less of a psychologist if you speak in our native tongue. Let's say, nagsasalita ka sa wikang Filipino and you are doing your report, you are explaining something to your client, there's nothing wrong if you speak in Tagalog. I must say, pag nagtatagalog ka, parang mas mabuti pa because dahil mas naipaparamdam mo, nasasabi mo, yung talagang gusto mo sabihin. Kasi syempre, tayo, native speaker tayo ng Tagalog. So, ang tongue din natin is native, di ba? Pero, both ways, it doesn't matter. But of course, we can't get away with English terms. Dahil most of our textbooks are written in English. And we were taught to explain ourselves in English.
Can you tell us your thoughts about an ethical psychologist, if there are any, since psychology or mental health here in the Philippines grows its popularity?
Well, first is there should be no done deal. There should be no scripted report. When you say done deal, I will administer a test to you, but that test is just formality because the report is already made. All I have to do is to sign the report and attach your psychometric test or projective test. But then the result of the report does not jive to the result of your test, simply because we're doing a done deal for the purpose of winning the case or winning a certain legal battle. That should not be. Likewise, whatever stated in the rules and regulation and conduct of a clinical psychologist or a psychologist in the Philippines as written by the PEP board, that should be abided. That should be respected by all psychologists. That should be followed by those who want to practice psychology.
Lastly po, what will you suggest for us, future psychologists, if ever we will pursue this field?
Well, first, you graduate. After you graduated, you review for the psychometrization board exam. After that, you go to the graduate school and you gain more experience. If you still have the capacity and the financial capability, you go to your PhD. Better, after your PhD, you go to another specialization. You take certificate courses here and abroad, which refers to psychology. And I should say that psychology is it is a lifelong learning. Though we ourselves we're been in the business, we've been in the profession for more than 10 years, but we keep on updating ourselves. We keep on retooling ourselves for the purpose of being a better psychologist, a better psychologist.
Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you ha. And regards online, sige. Mag-aral kayo mabuti and keep up the good work. Ingat. Alright.
Thank you.
Okay. So okay na.